Okay, what is the purpose of conclusions? Conclusions are written to make clear to what extent you have achieved the purpose of your report. Okay, so where do you write the purpose of the report? I want to know why did you write the report? Where should I look for? The objectives. Okay, you go to the objectives and you check it. Okay, and the conclusion should show that I have achieved my objectives. Okay, and to what extent I have achieved my objectives. Okay, so maybe your objectives were to test the strength of concrete, test the strength of any material. Okay, but it doesn't mean that you have done all the possible tests. For testing the strength or for testing a material, there can be 100 different tests, but you did only 2 of them. Okay, so purpose was to test the material, but you did not do it to full extent. So whatever extent you did, the conclusion should show it. Okay, and from your results, what did you find? The conclusion should show how much of the purpose you have achieved, how much of the objectives you have achieved, and what did you find during the report, during your work. What did you find? One very common mistake which I have made myself many times, that statements in the conclusions should be supported by the report. Anything which you say in the conclusion should be coming from the report, which you have already said somewhere in the report. So conclusions are reiteration, repetition, okay, in a summarized way, in a brief way of what you have already said in the report earlier. Okay, so you will only present those findings which are already shown in the report. Okay, you will not bring something new. Readers don't like it. When they reach the conclusion section, when they are reading the report, okay, so they have read 4 chapters, for example. This is the 5th chapter, let's say. It's not necessary, 5th, 6th, whatever. So they have reached the last chapter, right? So what are they expecting now? Now in this last chapter, in this last section, you are going to summarize for me what you did in the report. So they don't want to see anything new. Got it? They don't want to see anything new, because they have already spent maybe 5, 6, 10 hours reading your report. So now if you are presenting something new, that means they wasted their time, right? You wasted their time. Okay, so all statements which are in the conclusions must be coming from the report itself. They are just a repetition or a summary of what you have already presented. Okay, and like I already mentioned, what are the things you are including in the conclusions? The achievement of your purpose and your findings. These are the 2 main things. So you need to summarize the purpose and motivation of writing your document or doing your project. We do this again in some other section as well. Which other section? Which other section of the report also has the summary of purpose and motivation? Abstract. Okay, abstract also has the same thing. Okay, and I already mentioned at that time as well, readers usually, if they are in a hurry or they are not sure whether they should read your full report or not, they will look at these 2 sections, the abstract and the conclusions. So both these sections have the most important item, which is the why. Why did you write this report? Clarify to what extent the purpose was achieved. I already spoke about it. Provide a summary of each section of the report to indicate how that section contributed to the attainment of the purpose. Now, can somebody tell me the common chapters or sections we have in the report? What sections or chapters we have normally in the report? Tell me. The first chapter is what? Chapter. Introduction. Good. Next. Huh? Object is a part of introduction. Okay. What else? After introduction, then
Main body.
Main body includes what? Okay. Many of you will do that for your report as well. Main body is a name given to a part of the report. It's not the name of the chapter. You are not medical doctors, right? None of you is from medical, right? Our report are not head and body and feet. Main body. I have seen many reports where students are writing like this. Introduction, main body. What is main body? Main body is a name which they gave to a part of the report which has different chapters. It cannot be the name of a chapter. It doesn't make any sense. Your chapter is talking about cement. Your chapter is talking about circuits. Why would you put the heading main body? Does it make sense? In the chapter you are writing about something related to electronics, and the heading of the chapter is main body. It doesn't make any sense, right? Okay. So main body is not any chapter in the report, not in our report. You leave engineering, you go to doctorate, maybe. There you will have these chapters, head and shoulders and body and so on. Here we don't have. Next chapter. Okay, the first chapter is always introduction. Object is a part of introduction. Next. What next? Tell me. Abstract is before introduction. Okay. That is a part of the report. Okay, fine. Go on. We are not going forward from the first chapter. We will only write the first chapter.
Research. A chapter for research.
Research, like procedure. Okay, fine. Experiment results. Good. Okay. When you said research procedure, and research can be also from what others have done, right? We call it literature review. Literature review or literature search. Okay, what others have done, we write it. Okay, anything which others have done and you are using it, you write it. Okay. So then you have the experiment, the procedure, the experiment, the results, okay, and so on and so forth. And obviously, according to your work, it can change, the design and so on and so forth. But now, when we say provide a summary of each section of the report or each chapter of the report, this is referring to the sections or the chapters which are serving your purpose. Okay, the sections or the chapters which help you to achieve your purpose. Okay, so for example, you wrote something from the literature, okay, that others have done this. Yeah, for the reader it's important. Somebody who is reading the full report, it is important to know what has been done before, but it is not part of your purpose, right? Your purpose of the report was something else. So these things which are introducing the reader to the topic, their summary is not important here. Got it? So somewhere in the report you wrote some definitions. Now definitions are important for the reader, but in the conclusions they will not come. You will not put a summary of every definition and the term, and this person did this, that person did this. Got it? Everybody clear? Okay. Yeah. So in the conclusions, we summarize the sections of the report which helped us achieve our purpose. Okay. So the procedure, the results of the experiment, and so on and so forth. Okay. The simple introductory things will not be summarized here. They will not be repeated. Okay. Reader has only gone. We are assuming that he has already gone through the report, or if he wants more details, he will go through the report. No need to put them here. Got it? Otherwise, your conclusions will be as long as the report itself. Two reports in one. Summarize the most important findings, methods, or techniques. So normally again, this is like a point connected to this one. So maybe in the report you have provided more details about the methods and procedures, and you have provided more findings. Okay, but when it comes to conclusions, now you have to filter them. Okay, so maybe you found 10 things, but now in the conclusions you will select which are the most important ones out of them. Okay, you will not write all of them again. Okay, you have to select the most important ones, and even the most important ones you will try to summarize. Okay, shorten them, make it more concise. Okay, same thing with the methods and techniques. Okay, so I use a method for preparing a sample, I use the method for doing the test, I use the method for writing the results. I have to filter which was the main technique which influenced my result, which was the main method which influenced my result. Okay, and I will just write about it. Okay, and again a summary. So for example, in civil engineering, when we say we did the strength testing of cement or concrete, we have the testing standard. We did the test according to this standard. This is enough. Somebody wants detail, he can go to the standard, right? So summary means you will provide enough for him to look for the details. That's it. Okay, not the details itself again. Okay, again these things will be in more detail in the report itself, so we don't want to repeat them. Okay, in the report somebody goes back to the other chapters of the report, they will find all these things in more details. Okay, just make sure about that. Discuss the implications of the findings and the contributions made by your report. Okay, if you remember when we were discussing the when we were in the first lecture, okay, we were basically trying to answer these questions. Okay, what the reader already knows and how will I add to his or her knowledge by my report, by my project. Okay, so implications of your findings. Okay, I found this. So somebody who is reading the report, what can he do next on the basis of this finding? Okay, so I found that cement has less strength than steel. Then what should the reader do? Then I will tell him, okay, use steel in this and use concrete in this application. Got it? Clear? So this is the implication of the finding and the contribution made by the report. So when you say that concrete has less strength than steel, are you the only one? Are you the first one who found it? Okay, then yes. Then you present it like this. That according to our report, we found that this. Okay. But somebody has already done it, then this is not the contribution of the report. Try to find out something which is unique about your report. Okay, so maybe you used material which nobody else has used. When you say this has more than this one, maybe you made steel using some new manufacturing process. So then you mention it. That is, steel produced by this process is stronger than the traditional steel. Got it? So this will be your contribution. Okay, so you are telling the reader what you did new, and then you are telling the reader what he can do in future according to your findings. Okay, emphasize the most important findings, try to focus on them, highlight them. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, use strong words. We found that it should be done, it is recommended to do this, and so on and so forth. So the reader knows that this is something important. Write it in a way that reader knows that this is important. Got it? Clear? Provide suggestions for further work if appropriate. Okay, now what is the difference between this point, discuss the implications, and provide suggestions for future work? What is the difference between them?
Application.
We
Maybe
just came to other.
So maybe that the last one just like says that how can he improve your report, but the one that you said previously is like how your report can help him in his work. Or
Something like this, yes.
The implication of findings is almost like the result, and the suggestions are like further, let's say, advice to enhance the work.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so you are right, and you are right. So yes, so this is what he can do with your findings, and then this is how he can improve, how he can further extend the same work. Okay, what other tests can be done, what other design can be done using your findings. Okay, so yes, you are right. So this is you remember this was a problem with the conclusions of the report, the book which I uploaded. Okay, I'll show you the slides now. So usually students confuse between this one and this one. Okay, so this is I found this, so this should be used now. Okay, and this is anybody who wants to do another project, okay, in the same area on the same topic, he should do that. Okay, so these are the two things. Okay, some of the samples here. Okay, so read them, or we have, I think, enough people to make groups. Okay, let us make groups. And the most important thing for you guys, because this is the point in which you lose most of your grades, whether you are doing a term report or a project report or your senior design or capstone project report. Not only me, even the examiners, the most important comments are related to references. Yes.
My project, I didn't use any references. I engineered everything from A to Z, so I don't have any references.
Okay, so that means you are done with your life. You are still doing more reports, huh? We will look at your project later on. Okay, don't worry. Okay, but I'm talking about in general. In general, the students have a lot of confusion about references. Okay, because you already mentioned the important point that normally when we are writing the report, we focus on what we have done, and references are for work which others have done. Okay, so we are all Einsteins and Newtons and what's the other guy's name? The guy who died recently. Stephen Hawking. Huh? So we are all Einsteins and Newtons and Hawking, so we don't take anybody's work. Huh? We define everything ourselves, we write everything ourselves, so we don't bother with the references, but you have to. Unfortunately, you have to. Okay, and the guy you call as Google doesn't give you from your mind. Okay, Google gives you some things which others have done. Okay, and each and everything which comes from Google has to be referenced. When it goes into your report, it has to be referenced. Okay, we don't feel like it because we feel okay, it's there, anybody can check it. Okay, but in a technical report, it's not that simple. Okay, so let us discuss about references. So the first thing is, purpose of the reference is to give the origin of the statements that are not general knowledge in the field. Okay, statements which are not in common knowledge. So you feel some of the readers who will read your report, they will not know about these statements. Okay, and you did not come up with them. It is relating to some work or some finding, some results which are not part of your project. Okay, so they are not common knowledge and you did not do them, you did not find them yourself personally. Then you have to reference them, you have to provide a reference for them. So the readers who don't believe you, people like me, they can go to the reference and check whether you are telling the truth or lying. Okay, this is as simple as that. People don't believe us. Okay, you have to make them believe, and you have to give them references. Okay, to acknowledge the work of others. You did 2 experiments, somebody else did 100. Okay, your 2 are important, but what they found is also important, right? So you acknowledge them, you acknowledge their efforts. Okay, that this guy did this, he was the one who found this. Okay, he was the first man to come up with a AI device, for example. He is the first man to come up with virtual reality concept and so on and so forth. So you acknowledge them. Okay, that yeah, I am working in this field, but there is somebody else who I admire, whose work is notable, significant. Okay, you should go and read him or her as well. To provide additional information to readers who might be interested in obtaining further information, people who are not students. Okay, so yeah, you gave me definition of 2 or 3 terms, but now I have more questions. So you are not sitting in front of me. Where should I go? I don't have your phone number to call you. So I have a reference. Okay, you go to the reference, you find more information. Okay, so I only took the information which was relevant to my project. You have more questions, go to the reference and check it yourself. Read more for yourself. Avoid plagiarism. What is plagiarism?
Cheating.
Cheating. Okay. What else?
Crediting.
Huh?
Not crediting someone else's work.
Not crediting someone else's work. Okay. What else?
Copy pasting from websites.
Copy pasting from websites. Yeah. Okay. So yes. Okay. So that is plagiarism. Okay. So if you have taken something from somewhere, okay, and you did not give credit for it, that is plagiarism. Okay, whether you copied it, pasted, or you wrote it yourself, you made it yourself, but it was somebody else's work, it was not done by you. So you have to put a reference. If you don't put the reference, that means you plagiarized it. Okay, got it? Show your reader that you are a reader. Showing your reader that yeah, I know things in this field. I'm not a new guy. Okay, so you must trust me. Something like that. Okay, so what I'm writing, I know about it. I read about it. I did my own research and so on. Okay, so building your own trust level. Show your research is up to date. So whatever has been done in the past, I already read it. I know what has been done. Okay, and I'm not feeding you the same thing again. So I know what has been done, and whatever I will present now, whatever I will do now in this project will be something new. It will not be a repetition of what others have done. Got it? Okay. So again, then you need to do the references. Accurate references improve the credibility of your document, and they make the report more convincing because of all the other points which we have mentioned. Okay, the reader feels that you are up to date with the information. You know about the things which you are writing and so on and so forth. So the reader will feel that your work is more credible. Okay, you give me your report from start to end. Maybe you did it. I believe you. Okay. But somebody who doesn't know you, you will say, oh, the whole report, no references, how is that possible? Yeah. That means this guy did something. This guy did something wrong. Maybe he is intentionally avoiding the references. You will justify yourself, don't worry. I believe you.
No, I mean, I could reference some words, but like technically I did everything from my research. There is no.
Anyway, but just to get the point, I was just giving an example. So the point was that if I don't see references, then I feel like you are intentionally hiding the information what others have done, or you don't know about it. Okay, but when I see the references, okay, this guy is talking about this thing and it is coming from here. He is talking about this thing and it is coming from here. Now I feel more confident, okay, that he did not cook everything from his mind. Okay, he did something what others have done as well. So he added something more. Okay, so this is more comforting for me. Okay, make a note of references when you go along. Don't keep them till the end. Let me complete the whole report and then I will find the references. This will become more difficult, okay, more complicated, and there are more chances that you will miss many things giving without references. Okay, sometimes what happens, okay, I am writing the report, I know some things. Now how do I know them? Because I have read about them. About concrete, about cement, about circuits, about robots, and so on and so forth, artificial intelligence, so many things. I know about them. How do I know about them? Because I read them. When I was a student, somebody taught them to me, okay, or I read them and they are in my mind, so I'm writing it, okay, and there is no problem with that. Writing like this, there is no problem with that, okay, but okay, I completed one paragraph in which I used some information. I knew that information, but that information is not general knowledge. Everybody doesn't know it. So before you go on to the next section or before you go on to the next paragraph, find the right reference and put it there. Okay? Don't do 100 pages and then start looking for the references. Okay? Then you have to read all the 100 pages to see for which statements I need the references.
What if it's like you said that someone taught you that? How can you reference that? You know references?
Who told you? Gabriel?
In the university.
Yes. So, okay, I am teaching you.
So I reference you, for example.
How they get them? How they get them?
But so
I woke up today and I realized, oh yeah, I know about references today. I must go and teach it. No, it doesn't happen like this. Teachers also take it from somewhere. You have to find out the source. Yeah, and one thing I think I mentioned earlier as well, or I didn't, I don't know. References to the source. So you say, okay, he taught me, so I'll put the reference, Dr. Unab Gazar's notes. Who will go and find it? Nobody. Okay, and even if they do find it, maybe I change my notes. Okay, so you have to references to the source. It happens. You take information from somewhere, okay, and while you are putting the reference, you cannot put the reference of the source from which you took the information, because that is not authentic. Somebody said it to you, or you found it in someone's notes. This is not authentic, but you know that person must have taken it from somewhere which is more authentic, a book maybe, or another report, or a website, or a newspaper article. Okay, so now it's your job to look for the actual source or a more authentic source. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so things in which you know them because you found it somewhere, somebody told you and so on. Maybe it's someone's opinion. Sometimes it happens. Okay, I talk to people who are experts in the field, people from ministry, people from industry. Okay, and they will tell me things. Okay, when this happens, you should do this. For example, we did a site visit last semester, and the engineer there was talking about, okay, when you build a bridge and when you build a tunnel, which one has more cost? Okay, you ask anyone in the industry, they would say tunnel has more cost than the bridge. Okay, but when I write it in the report,
Bridge costs more.
yeah,
No.
I would write, no, I would write, yeah, tunnel has more cost than the bridge. But I would not say because this engineer said it. Why is he saying it? Because he has already done some costing for different projects. Okay, so if I want the original reference, I will not put his name. That engineer may go to some other country next year. Who will go and find him? I'll put the reference of a tunnel and a bridge project in which they did this comparison. There are reports available. That engineer was not saying this from his own mind. He was saying this from the previous reports which he already read. So if I want to put the reference, I will not put the reference of the person. I will put the reference of the report from which he found it. Maybe not from the same report, but any report which can support his statement. So I know the statement. Yes, I know the statement from him. But in the report, I have to go and find some reference which can be tracked by the reader as well. So you are reading my report and I say tunnel has more cost than the bridge and I want to check it. I don't have access to that engineer. So you will give me a reference to something to which I can go back and check myself. Got it? Clear? Okay. So the point which I was making was that some cases or many cases you know things, you write them in the report, and you should do that. It's more effective, more efficient, and there is no a chance of plagiarism or copying as well. Okay, because when you are writing from your own mind, words are coming, naturally. Okay, so it takes less time and so on and so forth. But once you complete a statement or a paragraph or a section, don't go to the next one without completing the references. Got it? Don't keep the references till the end. I mean putting the references till the end. Okay, so insert the references as you are writing, because in the end then you have to go through each and every statement to see where the reference should come and where I didn't give it. So you have to read the whole report again. And reading your own report is like torture. You can like try it. Okay, when you should give a reference, which statements need a reference or which things need reference in your report. When you quote an author's words directly, he said something and you copying and pasting. Exactly. This is allowed up to some extent. This is allowed up to some extent. For example, one of my colleagues from Pakistan, he did his PhD, okay, and in his PhD he developed a new model, and he named the model after himself and his supervisor. Name of the model was, his name was Adnan and his supervisor name was Fox. So he named the model Adnan Fox model. Can I change it? No. It says invention, right? So the complete term will come as it is, right? The complete term will come as it is in my report. So I can do that. Okay. But wherever I say this model, I should put a reference. Okay. Another example. Can someone define density? Everybody has taken physics, right? What is density?
The amount of matter in a volume. In a specific volume.
Mass over volume, amount of matter in a volume. These are the most common words. If you type it on Google or Google Scholar, you will find it exactly as it is, word by word. Density is defined as mass over volume, or amount of matter in a volume. Okay, got it? Now this small statement can be put in the report as it is, because how can you change it? There's not much variation available. There are only 4 or 5 words. Okay, and you have to put the exact definition of density. You cannot change the statement and ruin the definition. So you talking about density, and the reader thinks you are talking about volume. You cannot do it. So these small statements like definitions can also come in the report exactly as it is. Exactly word by word as it is. No problem. And then you have to put a reference. Okay. But whenever we do something like this, then we put them under quotation marks, the double commas. Okay, we put them under quotation marks. So the reader knows that they are somebody else's words. Got it? So when you do copy and paste exactly, it is allowed to some extent. I already gave you 2 examples, but the reference has to come after that. Clear? When you use somebody else's tables, figures, or diagrams, somebody used a figure, you took it from him or her, he is showing the curve, he is showing the strength of concrete curve, or the, I don't know, what type of curve you have?
There
Yeah.
is resistance.
Resistance and so on. Okay, I know these terms, huh? Okay. Back in the day, they used to teach us 1 course from electrical, 2 from mechanical. I don't know, 1 from chemistry, and 1 from here, 1 from there. They wanted us to become something else. Huh? They wanted us to become like real-time Hawking and so on. Okay, we didn't get the wheelchair, alhamdulillah. So, what was I saying? Yeah. So you took figures and tables and so on, and you put them in your report and you use them. Okay, then you have to put the reference with the caption. Okay, it is allowed to use somebody else's figures, tables, and diagrams, but you have to put them with a caption. Most common mistake which happens in them is you feel that since I searched for the figure online, I don't have to put the reference. No, you still have to put the reference. Okay, so you search for a car accident figure online and you found a picture and you put it in your report and you feel, no, I don't have to put the reference. No, you still have to put the reference. You are talking about a bridge, you are talking about some circuit or something. Okay, you don't want to make the figure yourself, you found it online, and since you feel that it's available, everybody can see it, I don't have to put a reference. No, you still have to put a reference. Yes.
Can you reference someone in the middle, or like we have to actually reference the guy who made it himself?
What do you mean?
Let's say I want to take a figure from online, or like Google or something like that. I find a picture, but
Yeah.
it's from some website.
Okay.
It's not like the actual author, you know?
Yeah, you can.
Fine.
Website is fine. Yeah. Website is fine. Okay. So this is allowed. Okay, but in many cases, people don't like when you take the figure and just paste it. Okay, they say, okay, fine, the figure is shown or the table is showing the data, make your own table, use the same data, no problem, change something, headings or something. Okay, instead of copying and pasting, okay, at least just make it yourself. Okay, maybe small changes here and there, but it should not be like, you know, a screenshot, copy and paste. Many people don't like it, they don't see it, they don't feel like it's authentic or it's, you know, genuine. Okay, so yeah, I saw the figure and then I draw it, that means I did something on my own as well. Okay, but still, even if you draw the figure yourself again using the same data, the reference should still come. Okay, so the common mistake is with figures and tables, especially found online, we don't put the references, which is important. Okay, and the most common mistake in our cases, the civil engineering cases, is the maps which we take from Google Earth or Google Map or these things. Then we don't put the reference, they are required. They are required. Okay. Okay. When you put an author's words in your own words, we call it paraphrasing. Okay. So paraphrasing is what? You found a sentence somewhere written, okay, and then you wrote it in some other manner yourself, but you are saying the same thing. The sentence which you have written is saying the same thing. Okay. So for example, this room has a dimension of, let's say, 30 by 40. This is one way of saying it. Another way of saying it is what? The room has a length of 30 feet and a width of 40 feet. Did I say the same thing? Yes. Are my words different? Yes. Okay. So maybe somebody wrote the dimension of the room are 30 by 40, and then you wrote in your report the length of the room is this much, the width of the room is this much. So you will say, no, it's my own, these are my own words. No, but this is the same information. So you still have to put the reference. Got it? Okay. So again, one common mistake is people feel because I wrote it, so I don't have to reference it. No. What is the basics? What is the base of your writing? What is the source of your information? The source is more important than the words. Got it? The source is more important than the words. When you summarize an author's idea, providing a summary, normally what we do in literature review. So literature review go through one entire paper, one entire report, and in your report you write one paragraph about it. For the whole report, one paragraph to summarize the whole report. Their report, others' report, okay? Not talk about yours. Okay, so you read one report, okay, and now you want to inform the reader what did you read. Okay, so you wrote one paragraph about it. So that paragraph is a summary of their whole work. Still you have to put the reference. Obviously, this is their work. Like I said, it's not important how much you wrote or how did you write. The important thing is from where did you get the information. So information came from somewhere. So the reference has to be made. Okay. Right now, I finished this yesterday, last night. We wrote a paper, okay, and the paper has like 20-30 pages. In that paper, we did provide a literature review of about 120 papers. So from each paper, we took some line summary. Okay, so for each case, I have to put a reference. Okay, got it? When a reference is not needed, okay, if a thing is considered to be general knowledge among the readers, so you must know your readers, right? We are saying this from the start. You must know your readers. Who will read your report? So if the readers are civil engineers normally know about, for example, cement, right? So I don't have to put, or even if I put the definition of cement, I don't have to define it again and again. I don't have to put a reference. Okay, people know about organic Portland cement, people know about maybe resistance and so on and so forth. So if you feel that your readers are up to this level, then you don't need a reference for that. Okay, you guys had the conclusions about the housing and so on, right?
Yes.
So some of the statements are general knowledge. About low income people not affording the housing is general knowledge. Okay, they found something else as well. But if I am quoting something from the report, a statement like this, that low income people have less affordability for housing, is common, right? I don't have to explain it, I don't have to give a reference for it. Okay, so things which are general knowledge. Okay, so what do we call as general knowledge? Okay, if the same information appears, so they are just giving some guidelines, but normally you don't have to go through the guidelines to know what is general knowledge and what is not general knowledge. Okay, normally you don't have to do this, but if you are confused, you can look at these points. For example, you search online and you find other people are also saying the same thing without references. So the same information is found in other places and they are also not using the references. So that means all others also know that this is general knowledge. Okay, but we are not talking about one person. We are saying, okay, you found at least 4 or 5 others who are using the same information without putting the reference. Okay, so one is an exception. One can be an exception. Okay. If you think the information is something that your reader will know, in any case, I already gave the examples. Okay, if you think that your reader will easily be able to find the information in a general information source, okay, something like Google Map or something like this, you may avoid the reference. Okay. No references in the reference list if you have not used them. Okay, so the reference list should contain the references which you have used. It's not a list of everything which anybody has written in your topic, on your topic. It's not like this. References is, okay, I read maybe 50 reports. Out of those 50, I only use the information from 20. So the reference list will be 20. Although I read 50, but I did not use them, so they will not come in the list. Got it? So it's not about how much you know or how much you read, it's about how much you used. Got it? Okay, and then we have, so referencing can be done in different methods. Okay, if you go to Blackboard, you will find I have uploaded some extra documents with examples of different types of references, the names and how to use them, their writing styles. Okay, so I advise you to go there and check it. Okay, you will use one of them. Okay, but at least you should know what are the referencing styles and what is the difference between them. I'll give you an idea here as well, but those documents contain more details. They are about references, or I think there are two. Okay, so go and check them. Any reference has two parts. Again, something very important. People either miss this one or this point. Normally students miss one of these points, especially the first point. 90% of them, they miss it in the reports. Every reference has two parts. So if you are using 20 reference, all 20 of them have two parts. One is their mention in the text of the report. Okay, and this will be where their mention will be made, where you are quoting the information from that reference. Okay, so I am putting a figure from a previous report. So with the title of the figure, the reference will come. Okay, I am using a definition from another document. So when I finish the definition, the reference would come after the definition. Okay, so in the report, wherever information appears from some other source, with that information, the mentioning of the reference should come. Correct? This is what they are saying in the first point. And the second point is, at the end of the report, a complete list of references should be given. All references which you have used. Okay? So the first point, anywhere in the report, wherever the information from other source is coming, there should be a reference. Okay, so maybe 3 references in the first chapter, 5 in the second chapter, 10 in the third chapter, like this. They are spread. Okay, then I give a complete list at the end. Got it? Clear? So every reference has two parts. Keep it in mind. Every reference has two parts. Okay, it has to have two parts. All the references must have two parts. They must be in the text and they must be in the list. If any one of them is missing, there is a mistake. Okay, got it? One thing which we discussed earlier. If a reference is in the list and it is not in the text, what should I do? In the list, I go to the list at the end of the report and I find 21 references. When I count in the report, I find 20 references. So the extra reference which is in the list, what should I do with it?
Add it back.
Huh?
I add it to the text.
I can add it to the text.
It's not considered.
Or you can state where it's okay.
Or
State where the reference, what you're referring and where it's
yeah, this is what she said. Or
It's not considered.
not, so what should I do? Then I remove it, right?
Delete it.
Then I remove it. Easier thing to do. I did not use in the report. The report is finished. So let's remove it. Okay. This is the this is the first point actually. If a reference is not used, it should not come in the report or it should not come in the list. Okay. So if it is not in the text but it appears in the list, Yeah, you can add it in the text, or you can just remove it, simply remove it. Okay. But what if it is the other way around? It is appearing in the text, but not in the list. What should I do?
Just add it to the
You have to add it in the list now. Now I cannot remove it because I already used some information from that reference. If I remove the reference, I have to remove the information as well. Got it? Clear? So this is what you have to do. And another thing which you will see, I will show you in the examples and the documents as well. Another thing is when you mention the reference in the text. Okay, so it's like tables and figures. Huh? So when you are using when you are mentioning a figure, how do you mention it? How do you mention a figure in the text? For example, a figure is showing income of different years in Bahrain. So how would I write about it? You can see the incomes of different years in Bahrain. Where? In? No, you already took the figure. The figure is there. How do you mention it in the text? How do you write about it?
I put references after like what you said.
I'm not talking about the reference.
Uh,
I'm talking about there is a figure in your report and you are writing about it. How would you write about the figure?
I put a number for the figure and I mentioned that about the figure about or the figure one.
Yes. So you give the figure number, right? You give the figure number. But when I go to the figure, is there only the number? No. The figure has a title as well, right? Your figure may have a legend as well. Blue line shows this, red line shows this. It will have some labels as well. This point shows this point has a value of this. The figure has more details, right? But when you are writing in the text, how would you write it? Figure number 1 shows this. You will not write figure number 1 and the whole title and the labels and the information. No. You want complete information, go to the figure. Alright? Same thing with the references. Reference in the text, you mention maybe the number, maybe something else, but it is not complete information. Again, it differs from style to style. There is a referencing style where we just mention the number. There is another referencing style where we mention the name of the author. Okay, it depends. But in any case, the reference in the text does not contain full information. It will just give you a part of the information. If I want to see the full information about the reference, I'll go to the list in the end. Okay, so this is the difference between the first point and the second point. The first point appears in the report. The last point appears after the report, at the end of the report. First point, some details about the reference. Last point, complete detail about the reference. Got it? Clear?
Like also, for example, in the text we write from where we take the information and in the rest we write the name, for example.
Yeah, the link will come in. Yeah. Okay, I will show you the example, no problem. Okay, so these are the examples then. In the text, references are shown by number in a square bracket. So you can write it like this. This is one style of putting a reference. Okay, so I got this information from reference number 1. Now what is reference number 1? Who wrote reference number 1? Is it a website or a paper or a project report? Somebody will go to the list and he will find all the details about reference number 1. Got it? This is one method of doing it. Okay, and then you can see here. What is reference number 1? It's a book. Who wrote the book? This guy. When did he write the book? This year. Okay. Who published the book? These people. Okay. What is the title of the book? This is the title of the book. Got it? Okay. So this is what will appear in the report, and this is what will appear at the end of the report in the list. Clear? And somewhere along in the report there will be reference number 2 as well, and the reference number 2, somebody wants to see what is reference number 2, he will come here. So you can see reference number 2 is a research paper. Who wrote the paper? This guy. When? What is the title? Okay, who published it? And so on. Clear?
reports or like in the reference page? This
What?
way.
What?
This way of referencing. You know, like the title and the author and like.
This
what
is in the end, in the list. This appears in the list.
Okay.
This information appears in the list. Okay. And then we have the other referencing style, which is known as Harvard referencing. Okay. So in Harvard referencing, you put the name of the author, the last name of the author, and the year in which the information was published. So this will appear in the report. This will appear in the report. At the end of the report, it is the same information as this. The information is same. Who wrote it, when wrote it, what's the title, and who published it, and so on and so forth. The information is same. But since I did not use numbering in the report, there is no numbering in the list as well. Correct? Here I was using numbering. So list also has numbers. Here I am using author name. So there is no numbering. Now if somebody wants to look for this guy, this reference, he will come to the list and search for this name. Where is Mr. Holly? Correct? So the information which you are writing is the same. The list, in the list. In the list, we are writing the same information. We need the name of the author, we need the time of publication, we need the title, we need the publisher. Okay, it's the same information. Okay, but it has to be linked with how you mentioned it in the text. If you mentioned it with a number, list should have numbers for references. If you mentioned with the name of the author, the list should have the name of the authors, no numbers. Okay, clear? Any questions? So the second way of writing it with the author name is called as the alphabetical system. Okay, so you mention in the report with the name of the author and the year. I'm talking about this one. This is known as the alphabetical system. Okay, now there are other referencing methods in the alphabetical system. Even alphabetical system doesn't have one style, it has multiple styles, and even this system has multiple styles. Okay, I will show you. So what are the advantages of using the alphabetical system? An important advantage is the references are completely independent of one another. Okay, so I wrote something in the first chapter, then I later on thought that no, it should go in the third chapter. Okay, when I write the numbers, when I write the references with numbers, so number 1 means what? The first reference, right? You cannot put the first reference in the last chapter. But with the alphabetical system, it doesn't matter whether you put the reference in the first chapter or the last chapter. The name of the author is same. It was Holly, right? So Holly will remain Holly whether he is in the first chapter or the last chapter. Okay, clear? So this is the advantage. When you move the references, you don't have to do anything with the numbering. Okay, so this is the main advantage. This is why I prefer to do it. Readers who are familiar with the literature can actually see that yeah, this is a good reference because they see the name. So people from civil engineering, you will take course in soil mechanics later on. Okay, something like this. So there is a guy whose name is Tarzaghi. He is called as the father of soil mechanics. Okay, the founder of the soil mechanics. Why would someone be the father of anything? But anyways, father of soil mechanics. Okay, you find his name in the reference. I put one statement and I put his name. Now you cannot argue, right? This statement is true, no doubt about it. Okay, and then I gave the example of Stephen Hawking, right? So I see the name, I write something about physics and astronomy or something, okay, and I write his name. The reference after the statement, I say Hawking, 19 or 2000, whatever. You know it is coming from Stephen Hawking, right? There is no doubt now. He is a well-established scientist. Right? So people who are familiar with the experts of the field, they can rely on your statements on the basis of the references which you are showing. You may still be using Stephen Hawking, or you may still be using Talwagi, but I have to go to the list and see that this is from Stephen Hawking, right? But in this way, in the alphabetical system, I know with the statement this is from that guy, the big guy. Okay? The numerical system, like I said, references are in the numbers, and the numbers are according to their order of appearance. So the first reference which appears in the report has number 1. The second reference which appears has number 2. It has nothing to do with anything else. The year of publication, the alphabetical system, it has nothing to do with that. Since it is coming first, so I'll put 1 for it. Okay, I'm talking about the other system, numerical system. Okay, and normally it is in square brackets, but I have seen people who put it as superscript. So they put reference number as a superscript. Okay, so it will appear like this. Okay, number 1 here, number 2 here, like this. This is also styles which some of the organizations or some of the publishing houses follow. Okay, so as instead of putting in the square brackets, they put it as superscripts. Okay, this is what I said. Okay, whatever the first source is, it has to have a number 1. The second source has to have a number 2. And the reference list should also have numbers. Each reference is a number. And so in the list, the first thing which will appear for the reference is its number. Okay, and then the year of publication is just placed at the end. Okay, let me show you. No, there will be no. Okay, I will show you what they mean later. Okay, so normally the year of publication appears before the title, but in the numeric system they are saying it will appear after the title of the report, after the title of the document. Okay. Okay, so what is plagiarism? According to him, cheating, copying, pasting, not giving credit, and so on and so forth. According to the book, plagiarism is to use another person's words or ideas as if they are your own. You are writing it as if you found it or you came up with it. Okay, so this is called plagiarism. The following examples can be counted as plagiarism. Okay, to steal or borrow someone another person's work. Okay, so you took someone else's work, okay, and you submitted it, and you are saying with your own name. Okay, so this is obviously plagiarism. To pay another person to write your assignment, we know about that. To copy directly from a source without referencing the original source, copying and pasting, Control C, Control V, okay, and then you don't put the reference. Okay, and don't put the reference, and you sometimes you can put the reference, but when you do this, okay, you have to use what? When you are copying and pasting, I said it is allowed to some extent. No. Like word to word, you have to put the quotation marks. You have to put the 2 double commas and so on. Okay. To use another person's idea without giving them the credit. Okay. So information is something else, idea is something else. Okay. So idea is, the gravity was an idea, right? Gravity is an idea, right? It's a force, you cannot see it. Okay, so somebody says, yeah, when you drop something, it goes down. When you leave something in here, it goes down. It's an idea, right? Okay, so but the idea comes from somewhere. You have to reference it. Okay, So it's not only about information. Sometimes when we are quoting the information, we write the reference. But when we are writing about opinion and ideas and discussion, we forget the reference. No. You are writing something, for example, I will give you an example. Yesterday, you know about automated vehicles, right? Driverless cars. Okay. So people did studies in other countries, and somebody already told me about it as well, and my other colleagues, that because of these driverless cars, number of trips are increasing.
Number of what?
Number of trips, number of like the travel is increasing. Number of cars may decrease in a house, but the distance which the people are traveling is increasing. The time which they are spending in traveling is increasing. Okay. So why is that? Because the trips which you are not making because you are tired or because you don't know how to drive, now you will make it. I don't have to drive, right? I can just sleep in the car. Don't do it. But yes, you can, right? It's an idea. Okay? It's something which they found. Even if I'm not writing any data, they have data. I'm not writing the data. I did not write that the travel will increase by 20% or 30%. Normally the mistake is when I'm writing the sentence, when you have driverless cars, the travel will increase by 20-30%. Then I think about, okay, I should put a reference because I'm using a number, right? 20-30%. But if I just write when you go and travel using automated cars, the number of trips or the travel distance will increase. Okay. When I'm just writing this statement, normally I miss the reference because I think everybody will know it. No, they found from some knowledge, from some information, from some studies. So even that idea must be used with a reference. Okay, got it? Okay. To paraphrase another person's work word for word. Again, another common mistake, since we feel that we are not using any number, we are using a statement, and I made the statement from my own mind, so I don't have to use a reference. No. You made or you developed the statement yourself, but the basis of that information, but the basis of that statement is an information. Information came from somewhere, so that source must be reference. Just because you made your own sentence doesn't mean you have the information yourself. Somebody gave it to you. Okay, so the reference must be there. To present false data is also called plagiarism. False data, fabricated, altered, borrowed without permission. So borrowed without permission is also stealing, and we call it false data because it doesn't belong to you. Okay. I was supervising a project in Pakistan. Pakistanis are very, very innovative. You put us anyway, we'll get a better way out of it. I tell you now. Okay. You put us underground, and before you know it, we will be standing outside. Something like this. Okay. Very innovative. And these people were coming from a village, so there were 3 boys. Okay, and I was supervising them. Okay, so taking data, manipulating the data is a source of, or is a type of plagiarism. Okay, data should be genuine and should be presented as it is. Data should be presented as it is. Okay, the worst form of plagiarism is to do it intentionally. These things, some of these things, not all of these things. Obviously, you are giving money to someone to write your assignment. It's not unintentional, right? Some of these things can happen unintentionally. Yeah, by mistake, it can happen. Okay. For example, you just forgot about putting the reference, or maybe you thought that this information is general knowledge. I don't have to put a reference for it. Everybody knows about it. Okay, so you used it, but you didn't put the reference. So this is unintentional. It can happen. Okay, or you plotted the data in one way, but it should have been used in some other way. It can happen. Okay, everybody knows it's not an expert. So some of these things can happen unintentionally. Okay, So the worst form of plagiarism is when you are doing it intentionally. That obviously is your intention, right? You are lying, basically. Okay. To pretend another person's work is your own. Okay. So you are writing some information and you thought everybody knows about it, so I don't put a reference. This is one. And the other case is I'm writing something which is new. I know it is new, but I'm still not putting the reference. This is doing it intentionally. Okay. To buy a piece of written work. Okay. Somebody wrote something, a poem or something. You took it from him. You give him some money and you publish it with your own name. Intentional plagiarism. Okay. This you already discussed. They keep on saying it, right? Why? Because you don't do it. Okay. To write something word for word from a source without acknowledging or without putting the quotation marks. Okay. So you are writing something word to word, but there are no quotation marks and there are no references. Word to word has to have a reference, right? And word to word has to have quotation marks. Okay. But like I said, it can happen unintentionally. Okay. Okay. So it can happen unintentionally as well. I've already given the examples. Yeah. Now what is a bibliography? Bibliography is the list of sources which come in the end. What's that? Okay. Okay. So bibliography is the list which we put in the end. Okay. Now there are two things. One is called as bibliography, the other one is called as list of references. Bibliography, list of references. Okay. They can be two different things, and both of them can be in the report, or they can be two different, or they can be just one thing which is in the report. Okay. If somebody has in the report only bibliography, somebody has written at the end of the report bibliography only, there is no list of references other than that, there is bibliography only. That means that bibliography contains the references which you have used in the report. So then the list of references and bibliography means the same thing. If there is only bibliography in the report, that means this is a list of references which have been used in the report. Okay, clear? But let's say you open a report, you go to the end, you find a list of references, and then after that you find bibliography as well. Okay, so the list of references is what? The list of references used in the report. Okay, what is bibliography? Bibliography is the list of other sources which are not directly related to the topic, but they may be of interest to some reader who wants to gain more knowledge. Okay, so for example, your report was about concrete. Okay, but with concrete we use steel as well sometimes. Okay, or the manufacturing of cement. Okay, so you may give some extra references for people who want to learn about manufacturing of cement, or people who want to learn about steel. So they are indirectly linked with my report. I did not use them directly, but for someone who wants to do some extra reading, I put them in bibliography. So bibliography are like then extra references. Okay, they are indirectly linked to your report, the topic. Okay, but you did not use them directly. If you use them directly, they should be in the list of references. But it is only the case when somebody is using bibliography and list of references both. If somebody is only using bibliography, this is a list of references, that's it. He's just giving a different name. Okay, so when you open MS Word, you will see it. Okay. Okay, so